Welcome, team, to episode 15 of the Keep Going podcast, Athletes Shining a Light on Mental Health. This is Luke Wheat in Knoxville, Tennessee, with my co-host, Pat O'Malley, coming live from Chi-Town. What's up, Pat?
I'm locked in, man. Just got back from a wedding. Super excited for episode 15. We got a big hitter, Brother Bill, coming on today. And give me a touchdown with a field goal, and then give me another touchdown with a 2-point conversion. I'm fired up, Luke. I'm excited, man.
Tutty, field goal, tutty. That's the vibe, dude. Come on now.
That's good, baby. We only scoring, no misses. But hey, it's great to see you, man. Great to chop it up today. I want to make sure we go right into it. Got to shout out week's episode. Absolutely electric. Love David Kamisic. Thanks so much for the fire bop and everything that you do for the podcast. And good first impression of David last week, Luke.
Dude, I appreciate DK so much. The dude's a grinder. He took us through his broadcasting career, which is not an easy job. And while it is also not an easy job, you don't get paid a lot at the same time. So dude's an absolute grinder. He puts his money where his mouth is, works his butt off. He works with you as your boss for a little bit. So super fired to have him up and give his perspective on stuff.
No, couldn't agree more. And David, once again, thank you. Thank you to David's network and social media. If you're not following, shoot us a follow. You know, we love to connect with you guys in multiple ways. We love the once a week podcast. We're putting some great content out there. We want to impact lives. So at the KG podcast on Insta, thank you. We just hit 2,000 followers. Super stoked. We wouldn't be possible without you guys. But Luke, we're not specialists though.
No, not specialists at all, man. We're not psychiatrists. We're not psychologists. Just a couple ex-athletes chopping it up, letting people tell their story to inspire others. You know, that's what we're trying to do.
Man, and like I said already, man, DK last week, got Brother Bill coming on this week, another big-time public figure. I'm going to say it, Luke, he's a sweet dude. Just a sweet dude. So super excited. And guess we'll go right into our mental health segment. Luke, what's something you did this week for your mental health?
Dude, throwback to an old one. I was a little sick this week. Didn't get a lot of sleep Monday and Tuesday night. When every breath you take, there's a little bit of a sharp pain. That makes it kind of tough. So I went back to a classic, just trying to stay hydrated. Tried to hit at least a half gallon every day since I wasn't feeling great. And yeah, guys, if you can't see right now, Pat's drinking out of a gallon of water. He sent me a snap this week, and he had the gallon jug on the table at a party. And I said, Pat, you can't be that guy, but you got to be that guy. So Pat's with me on that one.
Everyone's got their non-negotiables, and people had some choice words for me, Luke, about that. But,
I was pretty light with it. I can only imagine what you got from some other dudes.
People weren't exactly thrilled, but, hey, it's all right. If you're confident in yourself, it goes a long way. So.
Confidence is key.
Yeah, man. Well,
what about you, dude?
I'm glad you're feeling better, first and foremost. I know you were kind of battling that all week. But for me this week, I can't really pinpoint an exact thing in my routine, but if I had to pick one, non-negotiable, waking up for the sunrise every day.
Ooh,
so
okay.
It comes up at 6:45 Central Time. I did not miss it Monday through Friday this week. I'm going to try to keep that momentum. So getting that dopamine kick, seeing the sunshine, knowing that I'm here for a reason, I think that was a huge part of my week.
And I love that because of what we talked about last week.
Right.
And how you were like, you can't get to everything every day. And you kind of realized that. And maybe there was some burnout happening. Maybe there was some anxiety happening. Maybe it was affecting you in ways you didn't understand.
Right.
And I love that we simplified it this week. We picked one and we stuck with it. That's amazing. You had the wedding that can throw your schedule all off, but you definitely had one thing that you went to stay with.
No doubt. And I think it carried me through the week. Hey, God keeps giving me another day. It's a blessing to be able to wake up and do this kind of stuff. But I would challenge our listeners this week, find that one thing and crush it. And even if you don't crush it, don't give up and keep going on it. That's what I'd say. And I think we had a perfect guy coming on for that, Luke. Brother Bill, can you hear me all right? Come on, brother.
What's up, guys?
Brother
What's
Bill.
up, my man? How you doing?
Good. It's an honor and a privilege.
No doubt.
Circle the wagons, baby. Come on.
Circle them up, baby. Let's go. Here, this is what I'm going to say, and I'm going to call you Anthony because, like I said in the prelude, the whole Brother Bill thing, you're a big deal now. But I remember the little people out there when you were Anthony. That's for sure.
Don't forget your
But-
roots. That's what he's trying to tell you right now. He said when you blow up, don't forget your roots.
I was about to say, Luke, like very similar to other guests we've had on, just a humble, modest guy, right? Like he's not going to come on here and talk about how he's brother Bill. He's going to shine the light on a lot of things today. So I'm super excited. So to get off that right foot here, tell me something you did this week for your mental health.
Every day I have a husky, so he's got a ton of energy. So I give him about an hour to an hour and a half walk every morning. That's how I start every day. So definitely gives you some time to kind of think, gives you time to kind of like, just be alone with yourself, kind of be with the dog, like makes you smile seeing him. I mean, right now it's snowing and where I'm from, it's snowing pretty heavy this past month. So it's nice because like in my head, I'm like, man, I wake up and I'm like, man, this sucks. It's cold, it's snowy. But then I look at my dog, who's a husky, who's like in love with the snow, and he's rubbing his face in it. He's doing like snow angels, like just having the time of his life. So kind of like you see the bright spot in something I normally wouldn't enjoy doing. You kind of can't help but smile while you're walking him because he's so happy about it.
No, I love that, man. And as you know, we're a pro puppy podcast, of course. And we're a big Cubs podcast. So shout out that puppy's name, my boy.
Wrigley.
Oh, dude.
Yes.
That's
I got the
fire, dude.
privilege. I got the
Almost
privilege.
named him Wilson. Would not have
I
aged
did.
well. Would not have
I
aged
did.
well.
It would not. We would have got.
We
some
can't talk
receipts
about
on
that right now. This is a
Nope.
positive podcast, and we can't talk about
We
that.
can't. My mental health is suffering from that. So no.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I've got the privilege to walk Wrigley. Amazing pup. I'm looking forward to Luke meeting Wrigley down the road. That's for sure.
Husky's my favorite kind of dog, and Wrigley's
Dude.
obviously my favorite name. So
He's a
dude,
good dog.
that's insane. Yeah. But
that.
I love the weekly routine or the daily routine for you.
Yeah.
It gives you a little self-introspection piece, a little contemplation for the week, get your mind right before the day. I absolutely love that, man.
No, awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. We'll definitely keep that going. I know your support system with Wrigley included is a big part of your life, man. And I know your friends and family are lucky to have you. Let's go into it. So this is another unique one. Obviously, Anthony did not play college athletics. That was just like David last week. So walk me through early years, Anthony. I know you were watching the Cubs on WGN, listening to the boys. Tell our listeners about how you fell in love with sports.
Oh, dude. I remember my mom and dad tell me stories about how I'd like sneak out of my crib when I was like 2 and like they'd catch me on the stairs watching like Monday Night Football while my dad was watching with his boys. So like I've always just loved sports. Buffalo's in my backyard, so I've been lucky enough to like go to games since I was 5. I think my first game was 6. I think my first game was 2001. So they've had training camp in Rochester too. So like I remember being like 5, 6, taking the shuttle bus to Fisher and watching the Bills, getting autographs. So as far back as I can remember, I've loved sports, every sport really, honestly. Like the Bills are my thing, but I love every sport. It's always been a major factor in my life. And like as a kid, you're just dreaming about being like a pro athlete one day. So it's kind of cool to have, obviously not the route I envisioned as like a 7-year-old. I didn't think I'd be brother Bill, but I thought I might be like on on the diamond or something like that. But it's funny how life works that I'm somehow attached to my favorite team now, not playing wise, but like found my own little alleyway to be involved.
Luke, he's already being modest, man. Like and I love Anthony. I told you
Little
earlier,
avenue.
Just a sweet dude. And this is why, because he's legitimately a public figure now for the Bills. It's awesome to see how you've grown, not only in the public figure and everything you do for the Bills, but as a person over the last 4 or 5 years I've known you. So it's inspiring, man. I know our listeners are going to get a lot out of this today. Walk me through high school and college. You're playing some hoops, playing pretty good hoops too, playing some baseball. Walk through high school and college and how things went, and kind of when you decided maybe it's not going to be college athletics, but maybe I can stay in sports.
Yeah. I was always better at baseball than basketball. I love basketball though. That's like my favorite sport probably. So I was playing like JV and freshman basketball. I played up to varsity baseball. Just was always infatuated with sports. Wasn't always the best, but I was always like definitely that like work guy. I was always like the loudest dude on the baseball team. I was always like making up chants and like getting people fired up, getting the other team rattled. I was definitely like one of
Morale
those
guy.
dudes.
Morale guy.
Big
cool
morale guy. Pat knows I'm definitely really good at kind of getting under people's skin in a joking way. I just like I can find the little things that like someone might get annoyed about, and I definitely like to hone in on that. So
Look, it's a fun part of sports. It's a fun
I'm
part.
about
It
to
is.
say, I'm about to say, stop there because I got to give him some credit.
I'm
I'm a guy, and you guys know this about me. I really don't care what people think. Like, it doesn't really matter what you really say to me. Ant will get those digs in at me about something, and he'll stay on it until you confront him. It's so funny to me.
and it's
me
not
being
bad
boy,
stuff either. It's just like
never.
it's just a little
Never.
joke that I could figure out something that like could be like a little triggering.
Yeah, and it's out of love, bro, and that's why I love you like I do. Like, you're a brother to me, as you know, no pun intended. But like, it's stuff like that. Like, we can have that relationship, and I think that goes like, you're good for my mental health. Luke's good. People like that is good for my mental health, and I'm not surprised in high school and college that you were that guy. David Kamisic was that guy in high school for his teams last week. So awesome. All right, when did you realize you weren't going to play in college? It was like, I'm not that good. I don't want to do this.
I think with baseball, I think basketball is pretty early on. Like I was like 5'9". I'm a short little Italian kid. I'm not getting too much playing time. I had a really good jumper. But I think pretty early on, it got to that point where I was like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere for this. Baseball, I probably had it for a little bit. I probably fell out of love with baseball playing for a few years towards the end of high school, just between like, I don't know, coaching and how intense. I feel like baseball is like an extremely mental sport. And I love the coaches that I had, like as people and everything, but like as coaches, they were a little like too over the top sometimes. And it just kind of like took that love out of it a little bit. It was more like work. So I feel like I kind of lost my like love for it for a few years. So by the end of high school, I was pretty much done with that. I remember playing travel ball that last summer, my senior year, and like having a great season and having probably the most fun I've had in a long time. But I didn't pursue anything after high school, and went to community college. And I was never really a school guy either. Just love sports. I helped coach basketball actually right after high school too, so I stayed involved for a little bit. But then I started cutting hair and been cutting hair for 10 years now. So
Nice.
Yeah, you can tell Luke that Anthony's done a couple pods, right? He's leading me right in the next segment. He's pretty good at this. So stay there, man. And once again, brother here is being very modest. Dude is a legendary cut in his area. Like, if you follow his social media, they love him not only for what he does. He has a lot of big time clients, but he's got a great head of hair himself. So tell me, when did you know you wanted to cut hair, one? And two, how did you know that, okay, I can still do this during the week, but I can still get that bag of potato chips, I call it, and still stay in sports? How do you balance that? When did you decide on that?
Yeah, so I would have to say it's towards end of high school. I started trying to cut my own hair. Didn't go too well at first, definitely. But I stayed at it. My mom got me clippers, I think like my senior year Christmas. So I was like buzzing my head. I'm not doing anything crazy, but I started watching like YouTube videos all the time. And I started having a couple friends who were brave enough who, one of them just got like a buzz cut all the time. So like he didn't really care what I did with his hair. So he was probably my main easel, like let me really go at it.
Yeah.
So I started cutting his hair like weekly. And I remember after like 6 months, people started asking him who was cutting his hair. And I was just like winging it. Like I was watching YouTube videos. I go get my hair cut and like just watch barbers, like see what they're doing, try to like
student of the game.
Right? It was like watching film, basically. I was just in there watching, trying to learn, trying to pick up stuff. Became obsessed, like literally I was obsessed. And my parents really wanted me to go to school. So it was kind of like a back and forth thing where I don't know if they could tell how passionate I was just for it. Yeah. And I was always one of those guys, I'm very like mellow. So like, you know, I don't blame them for thinking I might just be like going through a phase or not take it serious. So I had to probably like a year and a half and they finally allowed me to do barber school. And at that point I had like I was charging like $5, but I was making like probably like $500 cutting hair. So I was cutting like a lot of hair and I was going to school and I was working another job. So I was like grinding. And I think that's when it really,
Yeah.
dude. So that's when I think it proved to them like I was going to take it serious. I was good at it. People liked coming to me. And from that point on, I started cutting hair. And at first, like Brother Bill wasn't even in the cards till about 4 years ago. So at first it was just, how can I get like local athletes into my chair? That's how I stayed close to sports. So the Sabres farm teams here. So I cut a lot of them, like a lot of the Amerks players, cut some Bills players when they were here for training camp. Cut like the RIT Division I men's hockey team, like that whole team. So that was like my way of like, you know, going to games. Cut Byron Buxton's hair. That was a really cool one. He was on our minor league team. So I had like my hands in a few of those teams, and that kept me close to sports, going to all the games to support them for supporting me. So that was my like way of staying close to sports for the first chunk of my career.
I love that, man. And that's, I don't want to move too quickly here because I'm seeing a couple different like trends here, right? Mm-hmm. Inspirational guy on the team, right? Growing up, during middle school, during high school, you're the morale guy. Tell me what bigger morale there is than getting a nice haircut and showing that thing off. I mean, come on. Have you ever had a bad haircut? How do you feel after a bad haircut? But no, when you get a fresh cut and you go, how many ESPN articles do we see about hair nowadays? And outfits and things that people are wearing. So, dude, this is your vibe, man. You're the morale guy. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Luke, I love that piece. And I think it's awesome that being a mental health podcast, what we do, obviously, we do our scouting reports before we have people come on. And you're a guy at this point that has stayed in sports and made a huge impact. I think it's really inspiring for people that might come out of college sports or even high school sports, and they're like, I'm losing my identity. I don't know what I'm going to do. But you're a prime example, and so was David last week, of staying with sports and making it still a huge part of your life, but not your whole life. And I love that.
Awesome. I love the switch up that we've had the last 2 weeks. I love the switch up because we've had pretty much all athletes on, and now getting DK on and brother here. It's an awesome perspective, right? Like,
agreed.
It's just such a cool part of the game. So I'm excited for you, man. I'm excited for what you're doing and how you're affecting people. And I wanted to ask, you know, how does it feel to be an inspiration to people? So many people are following you at the game. I think you're inspiring personally. You get me fired up to circle the wagons, you know, Bills by a billion.
Bills by a billion, baby.
How does it feel to be an inspiration, you know?
It is wild, man. Like, I try not to like, you know, think too much of myself, I guess. But like, there's those times where little kids send me their own like versions of like the videos I make. And, you know, little kids are like asking me for like, I think I went to training camp this year and somebody gave me their baby to hold for a picture. And like, those are the moments where you're like, damn, like this is bigger than like, you know, it started as a joke, like me just messing around, and it's really turned into something where like people take something from it and it helps make their game day better. Even when we lose, you know, you have a funny video to watch, to look forward to. The kids dressing up like me for Halloween, like I think that was my favorite thing I've ever seen. It's just, it is wild.
Brother Bill for president, man.
No,
shaking babies, kissing hands. You know, I mean, that's what it's about.
I love it, man. I love it. And here's what I'll say too. It hasn't always been like this for you, man. Like, you weren't always Brother Bill. You were Anthony. You were yourself. You were getting through high school sports. You're going through college. You had some ups and downs. Your mom, I've met her. Got to shout her out. She's fantastic. I can see you guys going at it about careers and what you want to do. I know your grandpa and your grandparents, huge inspiration for you, all that. But this has not always been who you are, is what I'm trying to get at. Walk me through how you got to this point. You were like, you know what? I'm going to make sure I'm good to go to impact thousands of people. How did you get to that mindset? Because I bet at times you feel like the whole world is on your shoulders when they play.
Bro, do you remember the the Patriots video you were in, when our whole plan got scrapped like that morning. I think you walked Wrigley with me that morning, and I'm like, bro, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, my girlfriend had gotten into a car accident, so that was really rattling for her. We had a big plan for like an ex-Bill was gonna be in the video, and it just didn't really work out. So
Don't
like,
shout him out yet. Don't shout him out.
No. We were
Keep that
getting
one close to the vest.
we were getting curveballs thrown at us, and I kind of like sat down, took a breather, asked Pat if he wanted to go to like Target with me. We hit Target, we brought some props, and we just freestyled a new video, and it came out perfect. So like, there's those times where like it's very stressful. It feels like everything's falling apart. Time is of the essence. I have like 5 days to make a video. I'm working 40 hours a week too. Daylight in the wintertime is scarce to come by. So like, there's definitely those moments where it feels like everything's going against you. And that last season, it was the first time where I feel like I just found like a center of clarity. I don't really know what it was. It was kind of just having a few years of experience and knowing that it always has worked out for me. And if you make the plan and you stick to it, and you just keep thinking like positive thoughts kind of, or not thinking too much about what could go wrong, it's going to work out. So I feel like this year I found Zen, and I was just very mellow the whole time. And it was actually a really smooth season for me. It was not as much stress, found different times to film, wasn't just like throwing it together in the last couple days. And it was like actually really smooth and easy. So that was like a breath of fresh air this year.
Fantastic. I love your Zen mindset. You can tell, knowing you, and even on Zoom for our listeners, when you talk, there's clarity and there's confidence. And I think that's really hard. I think our listeners struggle with that from time to time. They're going through something, and Zoom anxiety, they go into a meeting, they have anxiety, they talk to their coaches, talk to their players. If you had to give advice to some younger athletes or even your fans about how you do your day-to-day life and how you stay so happy and content, what would you tell them?
I've always said to friends and stuff who are dealing with stuff that life comes in waves. And like, I truly do believe that there's times where it feels like everything is happening wrong and it seems like there's no way out. And, you're getting like flooded, but I always say it comes in waves. So that's the bad wave, you're going down, but soon after, that good wave is on its way. You know what I mean? Like, that wave is coming, and it's going to be the exact opposite. You're going to get hit with all the best stuff. So it's like, never get too high, never get too low. Just realize that like, if you stay true to yourself, if you stay true to the plan that like you had for yourself, it will work out. I'm
calling Luke out. I saw Luke starting to write down some notes. I know we got somebody preaching right now.
Oh, 100%, dude. Anytime I start when Pat looks at me and he sees me writing down notes, he knows that one, it's going to show up in the bio, and two, that the guy's just spitting right now. Brother Bill's in the booth, dude. Bill's in the booth.
You know what's coming next. You know what's coming next.
And I've got
that back.
Yes, run it back,
Run
dude.
that back.
I've got my mic chain on right now, the highs and the lows, and that riding the wave, man. That all reminds me of the same kind of stuff, man. You got to be flexible. You got to take the punches and roll with them. And dude, I commend you for doing that so far.
Completely agree. And brother, like I said, I know you've gone through some stuff even with your family over the last year or so. And then you had the stuff with the Hamlin injury, and you had to carry hundreds of people during that, man, on social media. And people were in a really dark place when you see something like that happen. I know there's ups and downs. And the quote I always go to is, God said, God didn't say there wouldn't be storms, but he said he'd be there, when the storms come, or when the waves come, we learn to surf. It all goes with this, man. I think that's fantastic. While on that train of thought, tell me your keep going moment.
Keep going moment. Give me like a where like things felt like it was really bad, and is that like what you mean?
That's it.
Okay. Probably. Are we going all the way back, or are we staying?
Hey, as far back as you want,
brother.
That's right. As far back as you want.
Probably the worst I can think of like my first one, probably when I got cut from varsity basketball. So even though, I knew I wasn't the best, I was always like working real hard. coaches love me, my teammates love me. Still try to be like even though I was, bottom of the bench, I knew I could hoop a little bit, but I was at the end of the bench, and I still was like a voice. I feel like that I could like speak up, and people respected me. I was one of those guys. So when I got cut for that varsity year, I think that was my first like big moment of like pure disappointment of like something I felt I loved was taken sooner than I expected. I thought I had 2 more years of meaningful feeling basketball. And I think that moment though kind of was like you said earlier, when you have the athletes who get done with sports for their whole life and they're hit with the like, what do I do now? Like, who am I? I feel like I experienced it younger than others. And it was something I still, even though I was 16 years old, I took it very serious. So like, it was something that really upset me. And I think just learning at that point that like life goes on, like you still find ways to play basketball. You still hang out with the boys from basketball. You still can love basketball. You just have to find something else, So it's always like keeping the vibes and like not just losing everything from a tough situation, basically.
Luke, I love that too.
Being that inspiration that we talked about. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I love that perspective, and I'm going to let Luke go here, but I think we tell our athletes all the time, and people in general, you're going to be told at some point that you can't play the game anymore. No matter where we're at, we're all told. So I think starting to do things in your social life with your creativity, mental health stuff now while you're in sports. So when that day comes, you can bounce into something like you've done, man. You're a fantastic community impact in your area as a barber, obviously with the Bills, your friends and family who I've met a lot of them, they love you, man. They go to you, and you've earned that. And that's because you didn't put everything into one thing. You spread it out, and you spread love, and you fill people's cups. I respect you, man. I want to give you a dap up and hug you, man. I love you. Go ahead, Luke.
Dude, that's one thing that I was thinking of. And, if you think about it, Brother Bill, that happened before the barber conundrum. That happened before the college conundrum. Like that happened before all those bigger decisions in your life. And maybe that was somebody setting you up to have that mentality to roll with the punches. And everything happens for a reason, dude.
Yeah. Love that.
I do agree.
Yeah.
So that's brother, a great keep going moment.
I love that, man. Absolutely. And I want to be conscious of brother's time. Like I said, we know he's kind of a big deal. It's awesome that you're on here today. But in all seriousness, I know you have a family party. I will wrap us up. Be conscious of your time. If you had to tell your younger self, 2001 Anthony, watching that bad Cubs team, that's probably how you learn to have great perspective. Tell your younger self something that you want our listeners to know.
Oh man, I would say just is it talking to me, or am I like talking directly to myself? That's what you're saying?
You're talking to little Anth right now, bro, back in the day.
I would say just like, like you can do anything. It might not be exactly the way you envisioned it, but like don't quit on the stuff you love. Value your time, value your family, value your friends. Everything works out, and don't take time for granted, because like you said, like the past year's been tough with my grandpa and everything. And that's something that's played a huge role in my life the past year, of making sure that every chance I can be with family, every chance I can be with friends, every chance I can do something that I feel like could cheer someone up, I try to, because that's what he was to me. And it feels like it keeps him going on. So if anything, I could just say like, live like your grandpa, I guess.
Brother, man, I got the chills, man. Like I could listen to you talk all day, bro. I know our listeners are going to get so much out of this. Before I let you split, promote yourself. How can our listeners find you? We get hundreds of hits on this. Tell us, where can the viewers and listeners?
So I'm on brother at Brother Bill 716 on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Off season, I'm pretty chill on TikTok and Instagram, but Twitter is definitely my bread and butter. I'm always extremely active on there.
Awesome.
Awesome,
Awesome.
dude.
Well,
We'll throw
brother,
it in the show notes. Make sure we promote you and all that good stuff.
yeah, Luke, exactly, man. And thank you for doing what you do. Thanks for lifting people up and being a huge positive stamp on thousands of people's lives. And I want you to know, and you already know this, don't take it for granted, man, because me and Luke are just learning what impact we can make. Keep going, man. We love you, bro. Thanks for coming on.
Love you too, brother. Thanks for having
Keep
me.
going, bro.
You too, bro. Keep going. Luke, man, how good was that, dude?
Oh, I know. Absolutely unreal. We appreciate brother Bill. Absolute legend. Absolute oh my gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Stand out in his community. We appreciate him taking the time out of his busy schedule. The dude has a schedule today, and he carved out 45 minutes for us, and we're super appreciative for that.
Couldn't agree more. And I think the big thing too is just the impact he has on people. And the one thing that stood out was living every day like your grandpa, man. Living
Yes,
that
bro.
life, impacting people. And when you have these mental health issues, go to your people, even if you got one of them. I love that, man. Go ahead.
Don't even get me started. I worked a deli with my pep for a couple years.
Yeah.
In between colleges. I can't get into that right now because we could go on for hours. But man, one of the hardest workers I knew, and I wish I was half as hard a worker as he was. You know, one of those deals. So he definitely laid the foundation for the family to let us know how to go about our business. So man, what a line. Live like a grandpa every day.
Man, that's a good one. Put it on a t-shirt, put it on the Jackie Tripp.
Yeah, put it on the
We
t-shirt.
love that.
Put it on the t-shirt.
Yes. Well, hey, let's keep it moving. I'll be conscious of your time. I know we got some NASCAR on today. So I want to touch on our social media segment. But before that, give me that Luke Weed ad read, baby.
Oh, baby, come on. We're coming in hot for CNC and BNC at Homegrown Design and Apparel. Guys, you got to check out the website. It'll be in the description after this. They got custom coasters, and they also do a little bit of wedding decor and rentals. Guys, look, if you want to contribute to the wedding plans, I have a very simple way for you to do so. This can be a hectic time of your life. My mom is a seamstress. I have seen bridezillas before. I've seen normal girls turn into bridezillas. It happens. That's called stress and anxiety. You need to alleviate a little bit of that. And Homegrown Design is going to let you do that. Get some custom coasters. Be like, babe, I got you. We're going to put 10 coasters on the table. The wood's not going to get touched. We're going to get a champagne wall to put up at the entrance with LED signs at the top of our favorite custom hashtag for our wedding. Homegrown Design has got you covered. Please visit that website and buy.
Awesome stuff, Luke. Well, I appreciate you. The ad read gets better every week, and we could love CNC and BNC more. We got some merch coming out here over the next couple months. We'll get you more information on that, but they'll be doing all of our stuff, being our official merch sponsor. So couldn't love them more as well. Luke Wheat, social media segment of the week. We got Calvin Ridley. You want to tell the folks about that?
Yeah, so Calvin Ridley was suspended did he get a whole year suspension? Do you remember, Pat? I think it was a whole year.
Yes, he did, for the gambling.
For gambling. This is a tough one. You know, it was nothing physical. It wasn't assault charges. It wasn't anything off the field besides placing a couple bets. But here's the issue with it, right? That little action was signaling to his peers and his family and his colleagues that something was not right. Okay, when somebody does something like this, and I'm just saying this because, you know, it's known in the NFL world, in the pro sports world, that you're not supposed to gamble on anything. You're pretty much void from gambling on anything, especially your own games or the games in your specific league. When somebody makes that big of a shift in their decisions, I think it tells us we need to be looking for that in our friends, when to reach out to them. What do you think, Pat? That's
a fantastic perspective. And I think Calvin Ridley is a guy that's always been the best. He's always been the top dog. And at one point, for our listeners, as athletes, usually it's the high school to college jump, or the college to the pro jump, or the college to a first-time job jump. You're no longer the top dog anymore. And sometimes when this stuff happens, your mental health can suffer. I would make sure during these times, Calvin Ridley's doing it now, to prioritize your mental health and understand that, one, you're not alone in this. And two, we're better if we communicate. It's better when you check on a friend. What's the
Mhm.
Robin Williams quote? Check on
Correct.
your happy friends.
Correct. And, he also got a therapist. That's not a weak thing. That is a strong thing. That's a strong decision to make.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I can't be more of an advocate for it. I just wish more people did it, even whenever you're feeling good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it doesn't have to be a thing you go to whenever you're feeling bad. It can be a thing to do whenever you're feeling good as well.
I agree. And being a pro therapy podcast, hundreds of our athletes do this. Hundreds of our listeners go to therapy. And they do it when they're feeling good, bad, or indifferent because it lets them show emotion and be themselves.
Yeah.
I think that's so powerful.
It builds a
think that's
strong
so powerful.
foundation. It builds a strong
Yes.
foundation for you to handle your trials and tribulations, right? If
Yes.
you've got the strong foundation, then you don't have to go back and repair anything, right?
Yes, man. And Luke, it's like going to the gym when you're already in shape.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Prioritize that, guys. We're doing a better job in 2023 of talking about this kind of stuff because no one wants to talk about this. We'll talk about it because we know it works. We love you guys and girls and do it because Calvin Ridley, always been a top dog. He went through issues. He's now addressing it. I would bet he's going to have a huge year because you see guys like Dansby Swanson and guys that have put that time in. Inspirational. The more people that keep coming out with this, the more we can end the stigma. And shout out the hidden opponents and all those guys and girls over there. They posted about this. That's our social media segment of the week.
100%.
Luke Wheat, no questions this week.
I know. I'm disappointed in it. Hand up. Look, we got to start putting more polls up. I guess that's on us, but I want questions. I want to answer. I like to talk. Let me talk.
Luke, I'm one more episode away from going back to I-90.
Oh, no.
And if that's what we have to
guys.
do, so for the listeners that are listening, send a question in, or your boy's going to be on the side of the highway asking for questions.
I
So we
guess
don't
I'm going to have
want
to
that.
get some applications out for a new co-host if that happens. So
Yep. So don't
please
let
send
that
some
happen.
questions in.
Don't let that happen. So please don't. In all seriousness,
This job
send
doesn't
us
pay
some
that
questions.
well.
Yeah. Send us some questions. They're completely anonymous. We'll answer them and get you some feedback. You guys and girls are not alone in this. We're here for you. We're a family over at the KG Pod. So let's segue over. No charity wrap up this week. We're going to go to next week here. So next week, we got some things going. We got the blog. We got the website. We got the business things going. We're meeting with Zach Gale in a couple weeks to go talk some events. I know you got
That's
some in the
right.
work with community as well. Things
Yeah.
are moving quickly.
100%. We got Matt Roberts from Community Co. that we shouted out last week or the week
Yep.
before.
Mhm.
I got some merch from them. Really quality merch, really quality jacket that I got for them. And like I said last week, they helped me through a really tough time in my life and helped me realize where my priorities were. So I can't help them out enough and shout them out enough for how good of guys they are. They're all about mind, body, and spirit and helping the community out in a positive way. So shout those guys out.
Couldn't agree more. And we all are looking for people like this in our lives. It's who you hang out with. It's who you associate with. And it doesn't mean that we're all going to run through the finish line together. We're all going to make it though. And we're going to do it together. So Luke, love you, bro. Thanks for taking time out of your Sunday and let's keep going, baby.
Keep going, buddy.
Yes, sir.